Hi, my name is Laura Ross. I'm a yoga teacher. I currently am working and living in my house in Nairn, in the north of Scotland. I've converted my bedroom into my yoga studio so I can teach online. I've got a Velux window in this room and it's meant that I get fantastic light so that I can get good lighting in my recordings. It also means I get great ventilation for my warmer classes where I create a bit more heat and energy. It also gives me the opportunity to block out some sunshine. So different parts of the day, the sun might get a little bit too hot, so I can pull down my Velux blind to give me some shade. I'm going to take you through a yin yoga practice today. So this is a lovely, slow, relaxing practice. We're going to begin in child's pose. So we're going to be coming into a pose that really helps us to draw in. It can be really nice to bring some padding underneath the shins. So you might want to bring a blanket underneath your shins. Other things that you might have around the house that might make this more comfortable, a bolster or maybe a couple of cushions or maybe a pillow from your bed. The advantage of doing yoga at home is that you have all of the props that you need in your own home. So we're going to take a wide-kneed position. So the knees may be coming towards the edges of the mat and the big toes come to touch. You could bring your cushions or your bolster or your pillow between the thighs. If it's uncomfortable to sit back on the heels, then you could stay a little higher and then perhaps you could use one of your blankets to take underneath your bum and between the heels. So this can offer a little bit of relief as well. So it can be a nice place to come. So wherever you decide to go to, have your bolster, your cushion, maybe just using nothing and maybe you just go down straight onto the floor. We're just gently going to ease ourselves forward. So as you come forwards, turn the head to one side. The arms could hug around your cushion or your bolster, or they could just lay by the sides. If you're not using a bolster or a cushion, then you might want to just bring the arms out in front, either rest the head to the side or maybe the forehead comes down. So we're going to stay here for 3 minutes. I'll time you. And I'm just going to sit up in between the poses so that you can hear me properly. If you just stay in your child's pose with whichever props you've decided to take, and you can close your eyes. You could have a soft focus. See if you can bring your awareness, your full awareness to each breath. Notice the inhale. Notice the exhale. Forward folds, like child pose, are very introspective. They really draw our awareness inwards. They're calming for the nervous system. So this can be a great place to connect with the breath. Notice where it moves to, how it feels, its pace. See if you can slow your breath down. See if you can even the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale. If you've taken a turn of the head, then change the turn of the head. You might even want to count the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale. This helps to keep our minds focused, our breath even. It balances the left and right side of the brain, the nervous system. So perhaps you count for an inhale of 6 and an exhale of 6. And this coherent breath is the most beneficial breath that we can do. So you would inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then just continue in your own mind. And then as we come towards the end of this pose, take a last deep inhale. This time exhale through the mouth and sigh it out. Very gently start to walk yourself up. So you might come to a tabletop position, draw the knees in underneath the body. And you might want to take a little cat-cow, so just removing any props that you use, the bolster, the cushions, the blanket. And you might want to draw the chest forward, coming into a cow spine or hammock, letting the belly drop down towards the earth, lifting the gaze and the tailbone. You could stay here, or maybe you prefer to take a little bit of movement between cat spine and cow spine. And then when you're ready, coming back to a neutral spine. So our next pose is Sphinx pose. So this again, we want to support ourselves as much as possible in this pose. You could again take a blanket for a little bit of padding underneath the pelvis. You might prefer to roll up a blanket so you could take it underneath the chest, and I'll show you that option. If you've got a bolster, that would also do for rolling up instead of your rolled up blanket. So slowly making your way onto your front, perhaps having a prop nearby. Just take a moment or two to lengthen out the legs. Bring the elbows directly underneath the shoulders, and if this feels uncomfortable for the lower back, take the elbows further forward so you've got more space between the elbow and the rib cage. That reduces the curvature of the spine. If at any time you feel you want to move back into more curvature of the spine, you could then draw the elbows back underneath the shoulders. If you've got your rolled up blanket or bolster, you could place that underneath the chest, so you've got a little bit of support here. And that can just help, especially if you've got any issues with shoulder injuries. That can give you just enough support to be able to stay here with a little bit more comfort and ease. We'll be here again for 3 minutes. Just staying as you are, I will again sit up so you can hear. So Sphinx pose is a lovely back bend. We spend so much of our lives forward folding and contracting through the front of the body that this pose really offers us an opening across the front body. It can be very beneficial if you've got any lumbar spine issues, so it can be very beneficial, but really listen to your body. If it feels too much, too strong a sensation, then ease the elbows forwards just a little bit more. Yin is a wonderful time to really notice what goes on within the body. We spend so much time rushing around that often we don't notice, we don't observe, or if we do, we ignore it. We've got to strive, we have goals and targets. But Yin can teach us to slow down, to observe, and to respond to what our needs are, rather than what we think we should be doing. Thinking about a story that is a great story to connect with Yin. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So there's lots of bits of the story, but the most relevant part is Goldilocks walks into a bedroom, and there's 3 beds. She gets into the first bed and it's too hard. And then she gets into the second bed and it's far too soft. And then she gets into the third bed and it's just right. So using this story to approach your yin postures. Is it too hard? Are the sensations too hard? Is it too soft? Maybe there's not enough sensation. Or is it just right? So we have just under a minute left in this pose. If you feel that that is something that brings panic into your being, then perhaps you've gone a little bit too hard. Maybe ease off slightly. If you think, oh, maybe I could go a little bit more, I maybe need more for this last 30 seconds, then maybe you draw the elbows slightly further back, or maybe you take the hands wider and you might even lift the elbows and come into seal pose. So again, drawing the shoulders away from the ears, having a soft bend in the elbows, but they're lifted from the mat. If that does feel too much, then gently ease back down and come into Sphinx pose. So the hands could go wide, the elbows could straighten, or you just stay in Sphinx, or you ease out slightly. So again, you could ease out, maybe even rest the head in the hands. So options come all the way down. And then just taking a moment, as you inhale, fill the body up. As you exhale, sigh it out. If you took seal pose, gently draw the elbows back down. If you're in Sphinx pose now, perhaps you take the hands, put one on top of the other and rest the forehead down. We can pause here. You might prefer to take a cushion or a blanket for your forehead to rest on. And just noticing the rebound of the pose, these sensations that arise as we come out of a long hold. And then we'll take a counter pose here. So turning the head to the right, so the left cheek rests on the hands or your cushion. Guide your right knee out to the side. So that might be just off the mat. You might need cushioning underneath that right knee. And then bring the right heel so that it's in line with the knee. So you've got a right angle at the hip, the knee, and the foot. Just taking a few breaths here. This is a lovely counter pose. And then we'll take that right leg back in. Turn the head, so right cheek comes down. And then we do the same on the other side. So I'll just turn around so you can see. So now the right cheek is down. And the left knee slides out to the side in line with the hip. And the heel in line with the knee, flexing through the foot. So you've got a right angle at the hip, the knee, and the foot. And just breathing here. Then gently slide that left knee back in. And then we'll just take a moment to slowly roll ourselves up. So you could take the hands either side of the chest and push, or maybe you take the elbows down and gently draw the hips back, walking the hands back. So just however you want to come. You might take a moment in child pose, or you might take a moment or two in cat and cow, just gently moving. And then we're slowly going to draw ourselves onto our backs. So there's a lot of lovely proptions for this next pose. We're going to take reclined butterfly. So I personally love to give myself a little bit of height in my back position here. So that might be using your rolled up blanket. So you might take that around about the shoulder blades running across the mat. You might prefer to turn it, if it was longer, along the mat, so that went along the spine, so your head would be on one side and the spine would run down the rest. Or you might use a bolster or a cushion, and you could also set up maybe a block or a couple of books to give that a little bit of height behind it. And then bringing yourself to sit in front of your prop. And if you don't want to use a prop and you just want to lie down on the mat, that's also completely fine. So you're bringing your hips to the edge of your cushion, your rolled up blanket, your bolster, whatever you have. Bend the knees. And then just gently ease the body back. So just pausing here and checking in, does that feel good for the spine? Perhaps you need a little bit more padding underneath the head. So again, you could use a cushion or a blanket to give you a bit more height. And then from here, let the soles of the feet come together and the knees fall apart. So coming into butterfly pose. The feet aren't right up close in towards the groin. They're a little bit further away. So just finding a position that feels comfortable for you. If you've got any hip injuries or groin strain, you might want to take some support underneath the knees. So again, you could take cushions, maybe some blocks underneath the knees. So just giving yourself the support that you need. Books work well instead of blocks if you don't have blocks. So just taking your time coming into the pose. Again, we'll be here for 3 minutes. So noticing in this pose the sensations. You could scan around your body, observing the sensations that arise. You could start at the feet, the ankles, the thighs, just noticing, observing. Maybe there's more sensation on one side of the leg. Maybe the inner thigh on the right side is tighter. Maybe it's got more sensation. Maybe the left side is softer. Maybe it's the other way around. So we're all different. We all have different injuries, habits, all these things that we do day to day, all these things that affect our bodies. So rather than being frustrated that we have tightness or limitations, see them as your unique qualities, the things that make you you. Life would be pretty boring if we were all exactly the same. These intricate differences between our bodies they should be celebrated instead of rejected or frustrated. See if you can soften just a little bit more. And then taking one more deep inhale, fill the body up. And then exhale, sigh out. Very gently. From where you are, help the knees back in towards each other. So use the hands to help the knees in. You could either roll off to the side or you could tuck the chin in and gently push up to sit. Releasing any props that you have from around you. And then we're going to come to lie on our backs. So just gently roll down. You could hug the knees to the chest, or you might take the feet wide and let the knees drop together. Hands could rest by the sides or on the tummy. And then just lengthening the legs out for a moment. We're going to take our last little twist either side. So bend the knees. Take the arms out to either T or cactus arms. So bending the elbows if you've got short of space. Inhale here. As you exhale, just let the knees roll over to the right and perhaps you turn your head to your left. If you feel you want support here, you could take your cushion or your blanket and place it underneath the right knee. Or you could take a blanket between the thighs or maybe both. So options here. Keep the left shoulder blade on the floor. So if it's popped up off the floor, take that support underneath the right side of the legs. And then breathing here. Let the body soften. Twists are fantastic for the end of practice. They work out any knots in the spine, any imbalances from taking forward folds and backward bends. But they also balance the nervous system. They help us to have a sense of calm and peace. So that when we leave our mats, we can take that back out to our days. Again, you might find the breath as your anchor. Maybe that count of 6 in and 6 out. Maybe it's a body scan that helps to keep your mind present. I'm going to read you a poem. It's a very old poem by Nairn. It's called 10,000 Flowers. 10,000 flowers in spring. The moon in autumn. A cool breeze in summer. Snow in winter. If your mind isn't crowded with 10,000 things, this is the best season of your life. And taking a last deep inhale here, fill the body up. Exhale, sigh out. Very gently, draw the knees back into the center. At this point, you might want to hug the knees into the chest. Maybe just lift the sit bones and lengthen the spine out again. So if you want props on the left side, you can move them over. Otherwise, arms are again in either T or cactus. Inhale here, and as you exhale, the knees roll to the left. Again, you might want to take some support underneath the left side of the legs, keeping the right shoulder blade grounded. Or you might prefer to take a blanket between the knees. It can also be really comforting. The right shoulder grounded, legs to the left. Maybe turn the head to the right. And then again, finding that breath, the sensations in the body, observing. Allowing your awareness to be inside. Each time your mind does wander off, acknowledging that that's normal. And when you do notice, just practicing coming back into your body, following your breath. Okay, and if your mind does wander, remembering it's normal. Using this time to still the body and still the mind, to practice being mindful, to practice being aware of yourself. Let go of the distractions of life. And practicing this on the mat means that we'll find it a little easier when we take it back out to the rest of the world, helping us to deal with stresses, helping us to deal with events and things that might maybe make us feel anxious or fearful. Taking one last deep breath, inhale fully. Exhale, sigh it out. Gently draw the legs back to the center. Again, you might want to hug them in, or maybe you have the feet wide, let the knees drop together. Take a few moments here. And then when you're ready, lengthen the legs out for Savasana. Arms by your sides, palms facing up. If this feels uncomfortable for your lower back, you could rebend the knees, soles of the feet down and knees drop together. Softly close the eyes and allow your body to settle. Letting the breath be soft, unforced. Allow each breath to melt your body deeper and deeper into your mat. Letting go. And gently beginning to deepen the breath. Perhaps wiggle the fingers and toes. And then very gently bending the knees if they're not already bent. Rolling onto the left side of the body. So this is a more appropriate side for yin practice as we have calmed ourselves. This is the lunar side. You sleep more easily on the left side. And then very gently roll yourself up to sit. Taking a moment to ground and lengthen. Take a last deep inhale, fill the body up. Exhale, sigh it out. Take the hands to the heart center, rub the palms together. Take the palms over the eyes, blink the eyes open. Take the energy, pour it over the head, spread it around your body, draw it back to your heart center. Namaste.